morning and welcome to DDM Morning Show. I am Tuch Raphael, joined by DDM analyst Ibrahim Omawasi. Ibrahim, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Tuchuko Raphael. Good morning, Due Process, and good morning, Nigerians.
Yes, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, Mr. Due Process. Now, thank you for joining us this beautiful Wednesday, August 12th, 2025. We bring you the latest trending stories shaping politics and governance, not only in Nigeria, but also on the global stage. Today, we focus on three critical stories: Anambra APC petitioning President Tinubu and the Inspector General of Police over allegations against Governor Soludo regarding election rigging plots. And then panic within the African Democratic Congress as the EFCC moves against coalition politicians amid claims of selective prosecution. And finally, developments in the Ukraine-Russian peace process, with Ukraine reportedly prepared to cede territory to Russia as part of a possible agreement. Now, let's talk about these things. Let's start with the first story. The All Progressives Congress, APC, in Anambra State, has formally petitioned President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, the Inspector General of Police, and other security agencies, raising serious concerns over Anambra State Governor and the All Progressives Grand Alliance gubernatorial candidate Charles Soludo's conduct and alleged plot to rig upcoming elections. The petition was made public on August the 12th, 2025, through a statement issued by the APC Elders Forum, led by Chief Banti Onibo. The APC accused Governor Soludo of unsportsmanlike behavior and making uncomplimentary and malicious remarks against opposition candidates, including those from APC, which the party argues violates the rules of political engagement. According to the APC, Soludo has resorted to name-calling, labeling fellow contestants as illiterates, pedestrians, and street urchins, branding himself as the sole serious candidate in November 8 gubernatorial election in the state. More seriously, the APC claims Soludo is abusing state powers to intimidate voters and manipulate the electoral process. The party highlights the introduction of a state security outfit, Agone Chamber Security, which they accuse of being used as a tool to harass and intimidate political opponents and innocent citizens. The APC further accuses the Soludo-led Apuga government of imposing multiple taxation and forceful revenue extraction on residents under the guise of revenue generation, describing these actions as a tactic to suppress and control the electorate. The APC's petition calls on President Tinubu, the IGP, and the Director of State Security Service and the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission to intervene and insist that Governor Soludo adhere to electoral rules and conduct. Now, this petition arises against the backdrop of heightened political tensions in Anambra State as the governorship election approaches on November 8, 2025. The spirit behind the petition is also reinforced by President Tinubu's recent meeting with Governor Soludo. On Tuesday, President Tinubu welcomed Governor Soludo to the presidential villa in Abuja for a private meeting. While the specific details of the discussions were not publicly disclosed, the meeting holds significant political and developmental context amid the upcoming Anambra State election, in which Governor Soludo is seeking a second term as a candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance. Governor Soludo, a former central bank governor and a respected economist, expressed strong support for President Tinubu's administration, particularly applauding the president's bold reforms in the economic and structural sectors. Soludo affirmed that his alliance with Tinubu transcends party lines, rooted in a 22-year personal friendship and shared progressive ideals. He urged a coalition of progressive political parties to strengthen democracy and accelerate Nigeria's economic and social development. Now, this cross-party support is seen as a strategic alliance signaling a broader political realignment and cooperation among progressives for the forthcoming 2027 general elections. Now, there is a political culture in Nigeria. This also happens under the administration of the immediate past governor, Willie Obiano. In 2021, he also met with the then president, Muhammadu Buhari. Historically, there has been a cordial relationship with Anambra state government and the government at the federal level, even though APOGA is not APC. It's a different party, and it has governed the state since 2006, about 19 years now. APOGA has been the most stable party in Anambra state. And we know that the content of these political engagements between Anambra state governor and president and the president at the federal level, the content borders on security. For example, when Governor Willie Obiano met with Buhari in 2021, at the run-up to the 2021 governorship election, 2021 was a year that the Southeast witnessed one of its most brutal attacks, of most brutal violence, coming from agitation from separatist groups. So security issues was a major concern in that meeting. But today, I think it also includes part of the, the processes that will come up in the coming election. Issues like, voter turnout, issues like political support from the federal government, because Anambra State remains one state in Nigeria that is not APC, that is the ruling party, or the main opposition party. And maybe that is why the governors continue to have this political engagement with the government at the center to make sure that it gets its support. But then we also have the accusations coming from the APC that Governor Soludo, is plotting with the Tinubu's government to rig the elections. We all know that the incumbent president, the incumbent leader, or any kind of incumbent leader, has the wherewithal, has the opportunity, has all the disposition to rig an election, because that government rules. It is the government of the day. But the question is, what is the justification, or what is the prospects, or what is the, can this be a tenable argument that Governor Soludo would likely rig the coming elections? Or what amount of support, public support, does he have in Anambra State? So when all these things are put in place and established, then I don't think it would be a tenable argument to say that the government of Governor Soludo would likely rig the election, since the majority of our Anambralians are behind him, maybe because of his infrastructural work, or any kind of his work in terms of education, in agriculture, in human capital development. But let me hear your thoughts. It's a due process. The thoughts on the APC accusation that Governor Soludo would likely rig the November elections. And also, what do you think, what's your take on his engagement with the President Tinubu yesterday?
All right, good morning once again. On the visits of Governor Soludo to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, where he rendered praises upon praises on Tinubu-led administration for having performed wonders in the turnaround of the economy. But if you ask me, the turnaround, is it a positive one or a negative one? Measuring economic development in any economy, in any country, should not just be by praise singers. It should be evident in the people's economic empowerment. The people should be seen to have emancipated genuinely, not just praise singers visiting the president and creating the impression that it's working. These are the people that are following Mr. President that is working, whereas he's just destroying the country. In the alleged accusation that Soludo is attempting to rig the election, such accusation is coming from ADC or APC. Please correct me. Is it, you are muted?
Yes, the All Progressives Congress members in Anambra State are laying that accusation. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. The reason I asked the question is very clear. APC should not be found accusing anyone of rigging. As a matter of fact, APC is the architecture of rigging. APC is the symbol of rigging. APC is synonymous to any act of steal it, grab it, snatch it, and run away with it. As idealized by Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself, who instructed his supporters that they should steal it, they should grab it, they should snatch it, and run with it. The power is not served in Alakite. And he did exactly so in the 2023 general election. He bought his way. He even confessed it. Not from our perspective. Now he confessed it, right? When he met with the northern emirs, who visited him demanding that the country is not moving in the right direction, and he lambasted them that he bought his way to Aso Rock with his money, and nobody had the right to tell him what to do. So why am I painting all this picture? Is to portray the fact that the APC-led administration is the chief rigger of election. They initiated the idea that votes does not count. They brought about voter suppression. They brought about voter manipulation. They brought about glitch. They brought about announcement of election in the midnight. So what are they talking about? They should cover themselves. They should cover their faces in shame in a safe country. The bunch of APC supporters should be in jail, including their rulers that call themselves leaders, because they've compromised the system. They compromise the integrity of INEC. They compromise the integrity of the police during the election. They compromise the integrity of every paramilitary forces that engage in security of ballot boxes across the federation. They compromise the integrity of the judiciary. The seeming integrity of what was left for the judiciary, they compromised it. So what are they talking about? They have no any rights to even have that discussion, to have that conversation, that someone is trying to rig Anambra election. That is not to say that I support rigging. Of course, you should be able to tell on where I stand when it has to do with transparency. So the INEC have made themselves to become a weapon of state oppression, to decide whatever they want. They manipulate this result and announce it. I mean, election should be something that is so simple. People wake up in the morning, go to the poll on Saturday mornings, whichever day that is announced for the election, they cast their votes. Their votes are displayed transparently, and the winner is announced. Everybody go back home. But then, the way the INEC designed it is such that after coming out to cast votes, right, instead of filling out the original result sheet of the election, displaying it, uploading it on the server through IREC, and everybody have access to it. using beavers to upload it, and everybody have access to the IRF to find out who actually won or who actually lost. That's not the case. The IRF will start giving excuses that there is glitch here and there, just to create room for manipulation. And it is unimaginable that election results will be taking 3, 4, 5 days before getting authentic announcement. All this number of days create room for manipulation. They create room for manipulation. That was the summary of it. So, for we to have a peaceful Anambra state election, I'm calling on relevant authorities to save Anambra from eventual collapse, because the people of Anambra, I don't see them staying back to watch what happened in Edo to repeat in Anambra. The votes of the people must count genuinely. And if the incumbents, in person of Professor Charles Chukwuma, who has not proven himself to be an economic professor, should attempt any manipulation at the poll, then he will create a chaos for himself. I don't see him surviving it, no matter the number of militarization of the poll. The will of the people must be made to count. I don't know what's wrong with Nigerian politicians. You are too desperate about power. Buhari was able to achieve all that he achieved, gather all that he could gather. At the end of the day, today, where is he? He is nowhere to be found. So power is not permanent. He is not worth dying for, right? Present yourself for election. If the people agree that you make it, fine. If the people say otherwise, you should be able to respect the opinion of the people. So elections should be simplified. As a matter of fact, I am recommending that there is no need militarizing elections in Nigeria. We can start with Anambra, right? Let all the security forces be busy with their normal security routine, not election process. They should give room for civilians to manage the election. If there is no rigging, if there is no manipulation, there should be no room for any over-militarization of the election process. So that's what I'm calling. And I'm also encouraging the people of Anambra to ensure that their votes count. At the end of the day, it is the will of the people that surpasses the wishes or the aspiration or the desperation of those in power, because they are limited. How many are there? The entire Anambra state, for instance, those that will be interested in manipulating by all means the outcome of the November election will be less than 50. I mean, you do the census in each local government. How many political heavyweights, thugs, will be out there to manipulate the results? They will be less than 50. And when you do the census of the entire number of people, you will notice the number is so huge to be able to resist whatever form of sellout or manipulation. And to those who are sitting on the fence, who may say they have no business in government, they have no business in election, they don't believe votes will count and all that, they should remember that there is life after election. And the security of lives and property depend on the government. No matter how we want to shy away from it, we cannot shy away from the fact that the government is next after God. And the people must get interested to ensure that their votes count. So it should not be taken politely. The will of the people must be seen to take its course. That's my submission.
All right, thank you very much. You talked about the use of beavers vitiating the possibility of any corruption or malpractice. Let us remind ourselves that Anambra State remains the first state in Nigeria that had the full employment of the technology in the conduct of its elections. That was in 2021. And we saw how marvelous, how effective the beavers was in 2021. But today, we have other forms of malpractice or other forms of inducement or other forms of corruption. And we also have the dynamics of politics having a different shape. Today, in 2021, there was a high expectations from the people of Anambra State. Governor Soludo had 21/21. Of course, the people loved him then because they were expecting a much better administration from a professor. But today, we have seen what he has done in the first 3 years. So people are now left to maintain that choice they had in 2021, or to have a new or a breath of fresh air coming from another candidate from a different party. But one thing that is remarkable and which many people would frown at is Soludo's way of criticizing or castigating candidates from other parties. I mean, that is not, I see that as a dirty politics. Even if you are effective, even if you see yourself or people see you as somebody who is who has the capacity to lead, why can't you conduct your own politics without castigating or maligning candidates of other parties? Soludo is fond of doing that. I don't know whether he does that, he eyes the presidency while still being a governor or what. So what do you think of, for example, when the president visited in May to commission some of the landmarks projects that he has done, we saw him unilaterally declaring that APOGA is in support of President Tinubu's second term. Is Soludo the owner of APOGA? That is the question. So why did he make that statement?
And then,
okay.
Let me respond to that. It still boils down to the docility of the Nigerian people. That is why the average Nigerian governor has it in his head that he controls the state, whatever comes out of election in that state. It's because the majority of the people sit back and they say it doesn't concern me, right? We should develop this sense of ownership to take back our country. You don't take back your country by sitting in your house. I recall vividly in 2015, while I was serving as a corps member, and I was involved in election as a polling unit officer. We arrived at the poll without the original result sheet. Unknown to us, our SPO, that's the supervisor, asked us to go ahead to our post that she would bring the original result sheet to us. She held it back. Unknown to us, it was a setup, right? You go ahead and fool yourself at the poll while you write the results at the office and submit. But the APC agents were so smart that they resisted the attempt. Neither did they allow us to leave the polling unit. We were given what is described as polling unit arrest. For 3 days, I could not bathe, I could not eat pepperish food. All I was buying and eating was bread and coke, because I was skeptical of even accepting the food they were giving us. Neither did they allow us to go out and buy food from a restaurant. So that's the situation we face. Why am I painting this picture? Because the power of the people. Police was not involved in this arrest. They were standing aloof, watching us at the mercy of the voters. So if the people insist that their votes will count, all the shenanigans that Soludo is doing with Tinubu is just a waste of time. 2027 will not be business as usual. There's already a slogan of rig and die, right? So should any attempts be made to rig the 2027 or even the November 2025 Anambra election, whoever engages in that act has successfully traded his life, because there's a saying that a hungry man is an angry man, and you don't toy with the hungry and angry population of the people. So there will be mass resistance. I bet you, if the people are not happy with Soludo, there is no miracle that will take him or catapult him to remain as the governor. except if the people are not interested in the poll. But if they are interested and they troop out in their numbers, there is nothing on earth that can stop the collective decision of the people. That's my submission. You are muted.
You are muted.
Okay. Mr. Ibrahim, what's your take on this?
All right. I'm going to take it outside the realm of what they say, planning to rig election, or maybe the prospect of him trying to hijack Anambra state election. I want to put it in a broader perspective, analyzing the human animal as a whole. You see, I am very, very critical of Charles Soludo, not the way he governed, but the way he conducts himself in the political spectrum. Clearly, I can see beyond what he is doing to Anambra State. I can see beyond that and see that he is clearly an envious person, someone who suffers from that illness of envy. You asked a very important question, that is Soludo eyeing for the seat of the president? That's the answer. Clearly, you can't be attacking someone who is not even contesting the same seat as you're doing. For example, he has a reputation of constantly attacking Peter Obi to maintain his own relevance on the political space. We all know that anybody who talks about Peter Obi draws attention to himself, and he keeps on attacking Peter Obi, despite the fact that he is governing Anambra State under the platform of a party upon which Obi happened to be the first governor under that platform in the state, which clearly indicated that Peter Obi lays the foundation for him to be the governor of Anambra State. But he keeps on going after that person time and again. And Obi is always sending out loves and flowers to him when he attacked him, which further make him to look more silly to people. You are a professor, an elder statesman to your own right, if you respect yourself, but respect is reciprocal. He is not in any way respecting himself. But I have to be honest with myself. I have two people that I blame in all these cases. Number one, I blame His Excellency Peter Obi for allowing him to be going over him like that. I don't want Peter Obi to attack him in the same vein because he'll go back to his own level. I want him to allow the people that are willing to deal with him decisively. Then second of all, I blame Anambarians for allowing him his illness of jealousy to hold sway on a national politics of that level. Maybe he thinks if he successfully stopped Obi from being the president, he might likely be the best candidate from the East. And that's his calculation, right? And the Igbos holds that moral responsibility to stop him from doing that because it's evil to them as a people, to their unity, to their cohesion. He poses an existential threat to them on the political spectrum. And I said I want to analyze the human animal as a whole. The idea that Africans are so attached to power, I think, is halfway truth. It is generally human. Humans are so attached to power. But the reason why we are seeing it glaringly clear in Africa is the fact that we have a failed system in Africa. The system is not working. By principle, I tell you that democracy is a very, very good thing to practice for humanity. But in practical, reverse is the case. You can hardly practice a democracy based on its principle, practically on the people. So, and if you make individual prosperity as a summum bonum, it leads absolutely to the destruction of humanity. And if you can see clearly the insatiable urge, insatiable quench for individual prosperity leads many humans to what we call the deadly sins, the sins of jealousy, the sins of envy, the sins of idolatry, the sins of even killing of another people, homicide, and all of that is all based on the human insatiable urge for individual prosperity.
All right,
so
Brian.
That's why I don't believe in, should I say, capitalism in a democratic society that is still in cradle. We need to have a system whereby we'll be checkmating a very strong system like the one in the United States of America, whereby you have clandestine organizations that checkmate the affairs of the government directly or indirectly. We're supposed to have such a system checkmating the affairs of our government, because the president should not be the alpha and the omega.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim. Let's take our second story. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, has detained former Sokoto State Governor and current Senator Aminu Tambuwal over allegations of fraudulent cash withdrawals totaling 189 billion naira during his tenure as governor from 2015 to 2023. The withdrawals were reportedly made incrementally over 6 years from 3 main accounts linked to the Sokoto State government, including the Federation Account Allocation Committee account, Government House account, and the Secretary to the State Government account. The EFCC sources say these actions violate the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022. Tambuwal reportedly honored an EFCC invitation on August 11, 2025 for questioning at the agency's Abuja headquarters, where he was held overnight before being released on August 12th. The EFCC has named several government officials and suspected cashiers who may stand trial or testify alongside him. The investigation appears to be focused on identifying the extent of the alleged diversion of public funds, money laundering, and the involvement of others linked to the case. The detention of Tambuwal has sparked significant political backlash. The African Democratic Congress, the ADC, Tambuwal's current party, after defecting from the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, condemned the EFCC's action as politically motivated harassment of opposition figures. ADC accused the EFCC of using selective investigations as a tool to intimidate opposition politicians and accused the ruling All Progressives Congress-led government of weaponizing anti-corruption agencies to suppress political dissent. Similarly, the Sokoto State PDP described the detention as a witch hunt aimed at undermining opposition ahead of upcoming elections and called for the EFCC to operate transparently and avoid selective prosecution. Former Vice President and PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar also criticized the EFCC, alleging the agency has been used to coerce opposition politicians into defecting to the APC with corruption allegations, dropped once they switch allegations. Let's have your take, Mr. Due Process.
Yes, Aminu Tambuwal, the senator, and former Anambra State, former Sokoto State governor, was arrested and released after pressure on the EFCC. What you see playing out is simple. Again, excuse me. Again, it symbolizes who Tinubu has been known for. Tinubu, to me, is like a madman that has been given the power to control his society. You don't release power to a madman and expect sanity in that society. Tinubu has cannot in any way, by any spectrum, by any standard, come out to face the people of Nigeria and say we want to fight corruption, right? There is no any qualities of Bola Tinubu that should withstand the integrity requirements of a sitting president that should come out and say you want to fight corruption. Just 2 days ago, a video went viral of the Minister of Power, right, who have amassed wealth in the space of just 2 years, and he has built mansion for himself. Where was he economically, financially, to have been able to put up such building in just 2 years? What was his economic, his financial status before emergence as the Minister of Power? Yaya Bello was caught, arrested, expected to be arrested by the EFCC. The EFCC kept giving excuses upon excuses. They are looking for Yaya Bello. They not see Yaya Bello. I mean, another case again. Even the former APC chairman, right, Gandhi, his video evidence are all over. I just watched it before this program. It's the same video where he was stockpiling dollars as kickback from a contractor that was given a contract to execute contract in Kano State. Has he been arrested? Rather, Bola Tinubu crowned him as the APC national chairman. You know, you can go on and on and on and on, and the list is endless. Where is Hadi Sirika, the one that packaged Nigeria Air, doled out billions of naira under the guise of Nigeria Air? Today, where is the Nigeria Air? Where is the money? So, Bola Tinubu that budgeted 22 billion naira on Aso Rock Clinic, where are the hospitals across Nigeria? The same Bola Tinubu budgeted billions of naira for renovation of vice presidential lodge that the vice president is not even living there. The same Bola Tinubu budgeted 226.25 million naira per street lights, all in 2025 budgets. The same person claim is fighting corruption. It's just, to me, a political witch hunt. He's using his executive power recklessly, going after figures he felt can affect his re-election. That's what he's doing. He's not fighting corruption. He's not doing anything. And again, the EFCC, they've lost their value, they've lost credibility in the face of Nigerian people. Because the EFCC should be ashamed of itself. You cannot continue allowing yourself to be manipulated by the sitting president for his own or selfish political aspiration. That is not to say if Tamwa is caught to have committed any fraud, he should not be interrogated. That is not what I'm saying. But judgment or arrest or the fight against corruption or whatever crime in the society should not be seen to be selective. It should be open. That is why if you visit the courts before the Nigerian judges turn into something else, you see the woman that is holding the symbol of judiciary, the face is tied with a veil, meaning that the court, the law is unbiased. It has no face. But what we have today is rascality of the highest order, where you have the sitting president dictating to the EFCC. The EFCC Act is there on how it should operate. But what happens is that the EFCC that's supposed to focus on the economic crimes, economic and financial crimes being committed by these politicians that have put the country on a path to persistent poverty and crisis, instead of focusing on this assignment on going after the looters The EFCC is found chasing after Yahoo boys. Now they are not shifting the attention from the Yahoo boys to the coalition. Those they found are going to create headache for Tinubu come 2027. They are not going after them. It's simple. It's Bola Tinubu that is giving the instruction on who should be arrested, who should be interrogated. So if the EFCC want to prove that they are working, they should go after all the former governors, all the former presidents, all the former ministers that have been fingered to have had corruption cases. They should be able to prosecute them. That's my point.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Due Process. Now, do you think, Mr. Ibrahim, that the opposition party is claiming that if these members, if they defect to the APC, that all these charges and witch hunt will be dropped? Do you believe that is so?
Definitely, without a doubt.
Mr. Ibrahim, you are muted.
Can you hear me now?
I'm hearing you.
All right. I say definitely, without a doubt. I think during the last administration, we heard some of the political leaders in the ruling All Progressive Congress, that's during Buhari's regime, saying that if you defect to APC, all your sins are being forgiven. So it is clear that the only thing that makes EFCC to go after you, sadly, an institution that is supposed to be strictly independent, is when you are with the opposition. But that doesn't imply that they don't have the right to go after the opposition if their hands is stained with corruption. Clearly, I am against corruption. I'm not supporting anybody whose hand is in corruption. I believe that corruption charges, most especially to these public office holders, should be a death penalty. I honestly believe in that. That's the solution for this corruption that has destroyed the fabric of our country. But despite that, I also believe that a naked emperor can never lecture a servant on how to close. As due process rightly highlighted, Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself is corrupt. There are a lot of corruption allegations after him. His current security advisor, Muribadu, was EFCC chairman during Olusegun Obasanjo's time. And he said there are 3 highly corrupted governors at the time. He mentioned Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Godwill Akpabio, and who again? I think the current governor, the current SGF, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, former governor of Benue State. So you see the irony now today is he himself is with the administration. The 3 most corrupt politicians of his time are still in the government. That's one of the paradoxes in Nigeria. You see people that still seeking being sentenced to prison, while people that looted the resources of our generation are being celebrated. That's the irony. So the point is, you know, society generally as a whole is built on a delicate network of human relationships, which by the slightest of provocation become tangled, distorted, and injustice of lesser or greater magnitude is the cause of such aberration. So the big question is, how should we maintain the balance of power? Clearly, laws must be enforced on everyone. Nobody should have any immunity. Laws should be evenly applicable on everyone. So if the laws is applicable to some and it's not applicable to others, people will question the laws. So clearly, the APC administration should start showing example by sending EFCC to the president. Then we will know that everyone that they go after, they are doing it for the sake of the country and because he is corrupt. not because of the opposition. But clearly now you can see now, the president himself is corrupt. The secretary to the government of the federation is corrupt. The Senate president is corrupt. And that's not my word. Don't take my word. Take the words of his own security advisor. He was the one who said it. So clearly, everyone can see that they are not after corruption. They are after opposition, and they want to kill opposition. And opposition is essential to any healthy democracy. So killing opposition is basically slaying democracy. And we shouldn't be silent when they want our country to descend to anarchy. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Turning to international affairs, the current unfolding scenario regarding a potential peace deal between Ukraine and Russia centers on an upcoming summit between the US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, scheduled for August 15, 2025 in Alaska. This summit aims to foster discussions on bringing an end to the ongoing war in Ukraine, which has persisted for over 3 decades. Over 3 years, I meant to say. The US President Donald Trump has expressed willingness to facilitate substantive peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine to achieve a lasting peace. However, the summit notably excludes Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky initially, although communications between Trump, Zelensky, and European leaders are planned before and potentially after the meeting with Putin. Trump has indicated that a peace deal might involve territorial adjustments, suggesting that some Ukrainian territories could be ceded to Russia during these negotiations, a notion that has alarmed Kyiv and its European allies. Russia President Vladimir Putin, who maintains an uncompromising stance, has reiterated the demand that Ukraine cede several key territories, specifically the 4 annexed oblates or regions, before agreeing to even a ceasefire. Putin's broader conditions also include Ukraine's demilitarization, denazification, interpreted as regime change favorable to Russia, and permanent neutrality concerning NATO membership. Kremlin officials emphasize that these demands reflect Russia's determination to achieve its original war goals, not merely a ceasefire, but a lasting shift in Ukraine's political and military orientation. Ukrainian President Zelensky has firmly rejected any territorial concessions, insisted on Ukraine's continued aspirations to join NATO, and stressed that Kyiv will not accept restrictions on its armed forces. Zelensky and his government expressed deep mistrust towards Moscow's intentions, highlighting that Russian military movements and buildups indicate preparations for further offensives, not peace. He has also cautioned against Russia's attempts to partition Ukraine, viewing Moscow's demands as unacceptable impositions. European leaders and the international community are pressing for Ukraine's inclusion in peace talks. Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz, among others, has urged that Zelensky and European leaders participate in emergency calls ahead of the summit to coordinate strategy and reassurances about Ukraine's sovereignty and security. Now, this is a development ongoing in the Middle East, and I mean in Europe. This war has been ongoing for more than 3 years. The war that started in 2022. But the issues here are whether Russia is or will be committed to any kind of negotiations that will result from its engagement with the United States this Friday, because we know that Russia has reneged on the agreement in the past twice, in 2014, and then the Easter truce they had earlier this year. So Russia is known for violating peace talks. And of course, it is demanding that the 4 regions of Donetsk, Luhansk, and other 2 regions, that these regions must be ceded to it before it commits itself to any kind of ceasefire. So what are the prospects for peace after this summit, Mr. Due Process?
Yes, the Russia-Ukraine war has lingered beyond what anybody can outrightly expected, right? Thousands and thousands of people have lost their lives, lost their livelihood, lost their homes, lost their businesses, lost their loved ones across both countries, with the heavy casualty on Ukraine. Zelensky went into the war unprepared at the onset. The reason we saw him running to different political allies like the US and UK, as well as other countries to seek for support. And so far, the war has been ongoing with huge casualties. If you look at it, Russia, Russia was against the idea of Zelensky taking Ukraine to join what do they call the Union?
The NATO.
Yeah, the NATO. He was against the idea of Ukraine joining NATO because NATO is his perceived enemy to his country. And you now joining a group that is against the survival or the existence of Russia by virtue of what Russia stands for, are now deem Ukraine to become automatic enemy of Russia, despite having lived together as good neighbors through the Soviet Union era and all that. But today, the relationship has gone sour. And I don't really see what Donald Trump is doing to yield any positive results at the end of the day, because you don't force a country to cede land to another country as the only solution for peace. The demands of Russia is not something I see Ukraine granting, and the war is bound to continue. That is my assessment of the situation. And the world leaders should respect the fact that these are human lives that are being traded for personal gain. There's a song by Mali that said when leaders want to test their ego, they engage in war, drag the people into war, and the lives of the people are underlined. So, for humanity's sake, enough is enough. Let every leader, Ukraine, Zelensky, and Russia's Vladimir Putin to share their support and respect the international boundary of this country, respect their right to live, to defend and protect their territory, and retract from the law, from the war, ongoing war, because so many lives already lost, and you don't achieve international peace deal or ceasefire as the only condition of being ceding a territory to your own country. I mean, what does that mean? That's disrespect. You know, it's not something that any sane president should honor. And I don't see Zelensky yielding to that. Again, for peace deal to take place without the presence of Zelensky, who is the key figure in the peace deal, is something I found very suspicious. I don't know what is fueling the interest of Donald Trump in this whole matter, where he has to stage the peace deal between him and Putin, and Zelensky wasn't there, right? So this kind of arrangement is not something that will survive the test of time. And irrespective of whether Trump decide to pull out his support from Zelensky or otherwise, I don't see Zelensky and the people of Ukraine yielding, because they have lost a number of loved ones as a to defend their country. If pulling out now, what will be their justification for going into the war in the first place? So I don't see that happening. Psychologically, there will be no retreat. You are muted.
Okay, Mr. Ibrahim, in this conflict now, we have the two parties, so the conflict, Ukraine and Russia. Then we have somebody who is positioning himself, or who positions himself as a mediator in the person of Donald Trump. Now, this summit that Russia and the US will have this Friday, do you think that there will be a genuine or tangible result that will come out of it? What do you think would be or should be the role of Donald Trump here?
All right, I'm back. Donald Trump is the kind of person that is there for the applause. He wants to take the credit for himself. And people like him are very, very difficult to control because he's doing this for his ego. With regards to whether it will yield any positive results, I think it depends on how genuine the two leaders want to end the war in Zelensky and Putin. Clearly, there must be concession from both sides. And I'm not seeing any side willing to make that concession. Because number one, you have to understand that in Kremlin, it doesn't even recognize the administration in Kyiv. They think it is illegitimate and it should be changed. They don't consider Zelensky as the president of Ukraine to begin with. So it is very, very hard to put people on the table that one does not even believe in the existence of another. Second of all, the reason why Russians have been treating the war with so much emotion is the fact that you have to understand the historical context of the conflict. Ukraine and Russia were both part of the Soviet Union. And it was the creation of NATO, the Cold War, that led to the separation of these countries. And the Soviet Union broke into 9 different countries. And Ukraine happened to be the one that parted, I think, last. So they had a very close connection to each other. So the previous administration, before Zelensky's administration, was pro-Russia. Then the administration was overthrown by the normal, European nations are very, very wise. If they want to overthrow you, sometimes they don't use force, they use your own people. So they use that tactic and overthrew the government and brought Zelensky, who happens to be pro-Western, pro-NATO. And it triggers that enmity in Putin. For example, the previous president was elected through a democratic process, and you overthrew his administration and brought your puppets. So I will make sure that I disrupt the government. And the second lens is that, Zelensky wanted to join NATO. NATO was created after the Cold War to serve as deterrents to Russian aggression, because the Western countries, excluding United States of America, knew that Russia was much stronger than they are, because Russia and United States of America have the largest pile of nuclear warhead. I think Russia have 5,000 plus, United States of America have 4,000 plus. So, and there is no other country that have even 1,000 among the nuclear power states. So clearly Russia is stronger. And by geography, Russia is the largest country on earth. It also gives them an advantage. So with that, the European countries knows that no, we can't win any war against Russia. So let's unite ourselves and bring Uncle Sam, United States of America, because United States of America is the only country that stands based on military capability against Russia. So uniting themselves under the umbrella of NATO gave them a very, very strong deterrent, and that make them maintain that charade of power on a global stage. So for Russia to allow Ukraine to join NATO is basically allowing your neighbor to join force with your enemy, because first thing first, you have to understand that NATO was created as deterrence against Russia. So for you to allow your neighbor between their own border, I think Donetsk and Donbass, which were closer to Russian border, and Moscow, the headquarters of Russia, is just some few kilometers. So it is a suicide for them to allow NATO to come to their own doorstep. And I agree with them, because United States of America will never allow countries like Mexico or Canada to join force with Russia. So clearly they have a point here. And the reason why the war keep on going is the fact that European countries are the one at the, should I say, receiving end. And the people that are suffering from it are the people in Russia and the people in Ukraine, most especially the people in Ukraine. The people in Ukraine, their livelihood are being used, is being used as pawn in a chess game. And their government, sadly, even the government in Kyiv, are not interested in ending the war. They are more interested in maintaining power, because they know without Western backup, they stand no chance against Russia. And if they stand no chance against Russia, if they cease to be loyal to the West, the regime will change in Kyiv, because Russian administration are against the current administration in Kyiv. So it's about survival, the survival of the administration more than even the interests of the country. So that's why it's very, very complicated to end the war here.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We have to stop you there. That was a wonderful commentary. Thank you, Mr. Due Process, for your contribution and time. And thank you, viewers, for your time also. We are going to come back tomorrow for the last edition. Today is Friday, so we still have 2 more days to give you. But thanks for your time. I am Tochukwu Raphael. You're watching DDM Morning Show. If you like this video, do not hesitate to hit the like button. Make your comments on these topics, share this video, and subscribe to DDM TV. Goodbye. See you next time.
Let me correct you. Today is Wednesday, not Friday.
Yes, yes. I said we still have 2 more days to discuss certain topics. All right. Mr. Due Process, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Always a nice time.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Brian.